So right now we're just rendering the unauthenticated app, and that's not actually doing anything because we're not passing a login or register function. So once we click on that login or register button, it's going to throw an error because these functions are undefined. So let's go ahead and define them. We need to get our auth provider, so we're going to import star as auth from auth provider. And then we're going to say login is auth login and register is auth.register. And if I save that, then come over here, we'll say register. We'll do some random string of characters here. And let me pull up my network tab to see what happens. Sweet, we hit the register endpoint. We get a user with an ID, a token, and a username. So we're solid. We now need to just put this into our React state, and then we can render the authenticated portion of our app. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's add some state for the user. Set user. We'll initialize that to null. And when the user registers or logs in, we need to not only call auth, but also update the user. So I'm going to make a function here for login. That's going to take my form, so the username and password. We'll pass that to our login. And then we'll get the user that gives us and say set user to that user. We'll do the same thing for register. And then we can replace these with those. Save that. And then if we have a user, then we'll do the authenticated app. Otherwise, we'll render the unauthenticated app. And let's take a look at the props the authenticated app is expecting here, right there. We're expecting a user and a logout. So we can pass those along, no problem. User is going to be that user. And when we call logout, we not only want to call auth.logout, but we also want to set the user to null. So we're going to make a logout function. And this will do auth.logout and set user null. Great, so then we can pass logout as a prop there. And let's try this out. So we'll do register with hello and some password. Register that user. There we go. We have that user. Awesome. And there's our username. We can search for some books. Ta-da! And then we can log out. And now that user's been logged out, and now if I log in with that same user's information, then sweet, we're in a good place with authentication. So all that we did here in our app was we brought in both the authenticated side and the unauthenticated side of our application, and we determined which one of those to render based on whether we had a user in our React state. And then we brought in our auth provider here to handle the login and registration and logout functionalities of our application that we'd already built. And when we log in, we call auth.login. When that promise resolves, then we set the user state to whatever we get back from that auth login promise. And similar for register. And then our logout just calls auth.logout and sets our user to null so that we will render the unauthenticated portion of our app. Ta-da!